So why it's objectively better. Now, again, nobody else is really doing this, so we have to make the argument as to how could that be better. I think it's just objectively better. It's objectively easier. If you were to run a test and watch the same presentation where the orientation of the guitar is flipped this way, as though you were looking at someone playing it, or if it was turned around this way, I believe that you will find that it'll be a lot easier to actually work along with the presentation with the second one. Now, you might think that it's not as cool looking, the video's not as cool, or the player doesn't look as neat. They look funny, they look like they're left-handed maybe, or something like that. But when you're actually trying to pick up the skills, I think you'll find it easier this way, and I think it's just clear. That's just obvious that that's the case, but nobody does it. So we have to ask the question or make the argument as to why it's a good thing to do. So it matches real world orientation. When holding a guitar in standard playing position, the low E string is physically on top closest to your face. So obviously when we're playing the guitar, I know we have a dog down here, but he's in the playing position, you can see. And you can see that the low E string is closest up top. This is the low or heavy E string as the dog here is playing the guitar. Now, notice that when you see something on a piano, you don't have this problem. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But notice on a piano, you don't like sit in front of the piano because you won't be able to see the person because the piano is like an elephant in front of them. You have to actually look over their shoulder, which means that you don't have this problem when learning on the piano because you're sitting kind of side by side. If you're learning together, oftentimes it's useful to sit side by side as well. But when you put a video camera on the guitar, it's just natural to put it as though you're sitting in front of it, which actually makes it a little bit difficult for the learner that way. So flipping the video image so the E is also on top removes the mental gymnastics of inverting images. So notice that if you're looking at someone playing, the guitar's going to be facing this way. If I'm looking at the dog playing, the guitar's playing this way. But when I'm looking at them, my guitar is facing the other way because we're obviously face to face. So we can flip it this way just using software, which is the mirror image, as though you flipped it around in a mirror. So notice that this is the normal orientation of the guitar. If you're looking at it face on, you can imagine swiveling it around in a circle here. That's different. If you swiveled it around in a circle, you would end up with the high E string on top. That's not what we want. We want to mirror image it so that we have the low or heavy E string on top, because that basically mirrors what we're seeing from our perspective from behind the guitar. So improves visual logic. So as you look down while playing, the fretboard progresses left to right and low to high from top to bottom. Our visual presentation should match. So in other words, when we're behind the guitar, as I think we could see like this way, when we're behind the guitar, then clearly the top string is up here. We're looking top to bottom and then left to right, kind of like we read a book. But if I have the situation where the guitar's this way, notice it's not left to right. That's not in the United States. We read left to right. Everything is left to right. So if you're naturally orientated left to right, you have to reverse the way you normally visualize the screen. Even watching a movie, we expect things to go like left to right, right? And so this is going from right to left. And so it's backwards. What are we in? We're on the wrong side of the road. This isn't Europe or something. Not that I like Europe and anything. I'm just saying. I'd be hard to switch the side of the road if you're used to seeing it going one way. So scale and mode shapes can be visualized exactly as they feel under the fingers. So even though it's mirroring with the other person's left hand, or it looks like their left hand, it's actually still easier to mirror what is happening, because that just is naturally what we would do when we mimic something, particularly when we're mimicking ourselves as we're looking into a mirror.